Hello, welcome back. So in a few moments, you're going to learn about a very powerful tool that you can use right now, and it's free. And this tool is going to allow you to achieve things that you never thought were possible before. And this tool is called self-hypnosis, which means that you don't need somebody else to hypnotize you, which is heterohypnosis. Heterohypnosis has more advantages, and self-hypnosis does have some limitations, but for goal setting, it's perfect. So the way hypnosis works and the definition of hypnosis is pure focus. I've defined it in other ways in other videos, but in this video I'm going to define it as pure focus because you don't need to be relaxed to be in hypnosis. A lot of people define hypnosis as a relaxed state of awareness or something like that. But it's just focus, and you can be stiff and rigid and still be in hypnosis. Think back to the war, when soldiers were being exposed to gunfire and explosions and people being blown up, they would go into shell shock, and it was observed that when they go into shell shock, they would have a 1,000-yard stare, and they would be able to block out all these distractions from the explosions and people dying in front of them, and they can maintain, and they were capable of this unbreakable type of focus, shell shock. It's a trance state, it's hypnosis. So in self-hypnosis, what you're going to do is you're going to have a goal become your focus. And once your goal becomes your focus, you're not going to need motivation to maintain the behaviors that will do all the work that you need to do to reach your goal. Because most people know what they have to do to reach their goal. That's not the problem. The problem is that they can't do it. They know, most of them, that they need to just get X amount of clients per week to reach their goal. They need to sell X amount of products this week to reach their goal. So that is not the problem. The problem is actually doing it. And so they try to motivate themselves. And motivation only works for about 2 days on average before it starts to peter out. So motivation isn't going to work. What's going to work is having a focus and having a behavior pattern that will reach your goal. Behaviors, meaning I'm going to get on the phone and call these people, or I'm going to go and turn in these applications, or I am going to work on my website. It's just having the habitual behaviors that contribute to the goal. That's what's going to make it happen. So there's nothing supernatural going on here. It's all about focus. And if you think about how hypnosis, having focus, and how the subconscious mind all work together to bring about the change needed to achieve your goal, think of it as brushing your teeth. When most people who have good dental hygiene don't need to motivate themselves to brush their teeth. They don't even need to feel like brushing their teeth while they're brushing them. They could just do it. And that's because it's a habit, it's a known, it's what they're used to. So the idea with self-hypnosis is to make your behaviors that are focused on your goal become automatic. And if you think of a stage hypnosis act, if you've ever seen one, what happens is the stage hypnotist will call up a few people to the stage, he'll put them in hypnosis, and then he'll have them do certain things that they maybe normally wouldn't, but they're things that are not violating their moral codes. So it's usually like he'll allow them to fall asleep, something like that. And the reason why they end up doing things for the hypnotist on stage is because it's easier to fall into the experience and to do what they're expected to do, what they believe, what they infer they're expected to do, rather than to rebel. They can actually get off the stage at any moment, or they could just not do what the hypnotist says at any moment. But it's easier to just do what he says and to just follow through with what they've inferred they're supposed to do. And it's the same principle as the smoker who wants to quit smoking but can't, the overeater who wishes they could stop eating but they don't. When you look at those people, obviously they could just stop. They can just not buy cigarettes. They could just not put the food in their mouth. But why don't they stop? It's because it's easier not to. The subconscious mind does not work by force. you can't tell your subconscious mind, try not to think of the number 3. You'll automatically think of the number 3. So that's why you have to bypass your critical factor using hypnosis in order to drop a suggestion into the subconscious mind for it to be accepted. So going back to the stage hypnotist, what happens is, so you have a person on stage and they go into hypnosis because of an overload of message units, which creates hypersuggestibility. So they're up there, everybody's staring at them, there's bright lights on them, they have a strange person that's guiding the situation, and then he'll have them stare at a certain spot. Usually he'll have them stare at some really bright lights, and then he will tell them what's going to happen, he'll target what's going to happen, and then it happens. And they've already seen this happen to their peers, so they know what it is expected of them to do. And at that moment, when the hypnotist targets where they should go and what they should do, it's easier for them to just go along with it than it is to rebel. So that's why they do it. And the hypnotist who is astute and adept at this process knows how to bypass that critical factor to make it so that it's easier for the person, the subject, to fall into the experience rather than to rebel against it. But at any time, they could just they know what's going on, they could get up and walk off the stage. But just like I said about the smoker and the overeater, it's easier to fall into the experience than to rebel. And so when it comes to behavior and your work ethic and everything like that, it may not be in your subconscious mind to work all the time and to do everything that you're supposed to do, that you know consciously that you're supposed to do to reach your goal. You much rather, you'll get easily distracted. Instead of building your website or something like that, you'll play video games, or you'll do whatever it is that is easier for you to do, because that's what's in your subconscious mind. So with self-hypnosis, this is how you do it. This is the easiest way to do it, and it's the funnest. You're going to do it the same way commercials work to influence your buying behavior. So what you do is you make a recording of your voice and you talk about your goals. You specify what your goals are specifically and what it is you need to do to reach your goals. And then you play this tape in the background passively as you do other things like clean your house, do your laundry, drive in the car. You just play these tapes in the background, just like commercials or the radio plays. And because that's how radio and commercials work to influence buying behavior, you'll hear an annoying song, an annoying jingle, and then layered within the jingle and the song, there's a message. Buy the product. You are hungry for this product. You are thirsty for this type of beer. And it works. So instead of listening to commercials that are getting you to buy someone else's product, make your own commercial that is going to allow you to change your behaviors so that you're not having to motivate yourself to get to work. You just do it because that is what's familiar to you, because that's your automatic habit, your normal behavior pattern, just like brushing your teeth. That is how self-hypnosis works to make your goal a focus, an unbreakable focus, so that you don't get distracted, so that you don't need motivation to keep pumping you up in order to work, in order to act and behave in the ways that's going to reach your goal. It's just how you are. It's just a natural part of who you are. And that is the way change happens, and you can use this right now using your phone. Most phones nowadays have a voice recording device, so you just use that device and make yourself a little self-hypnosis tape stating your goals, specifically how you're going to reach them, and then passively play it in the background of life. And you can even do things like layer it with ambient music. I wouldn't recommend using songs or melodic music where there's a beginning, middle, and end. You have to use something that's nondescript, that's just like background sounds, ambient music. there's reasons why songs and melodies and music with beginning, middles, and end don't work, or they distract you more. So this is self-hypnosis, and this is how you do it. It's very fun, and you'll actually start to see results, and I recommend try this for a month, see what happens. And once you do this, you will begin to see the change in your life start to form, and your behaviors start to manifest your desires and the things that you've dreamed about and beyond, because what you think is possible is generally what you're capable of achieving. So if you don't think something's possible, the odds of you achieving it are less likely. And that all has to do with what your beliefs are, your deeply embedded subconscious beliefs. And that is where heterohypnosis could come in handy, is where you're trying to uncover buried subconscious self-sabotaging beliefs. But that's different. For right now, just practice this very fun, easy, and simple tool called self-hypnosis. You don't have to do a mantra. You don't have to sit in the dark and close your eyes and sit still. None of that. You just make a tape and you just play it in the background of life, and then eventually watch what happens. So I hope this video has helped you to live your best life, to become the person you were meant to be. So that I'll leave you with a quote, which is, the definition of hell is on your last day on earth, the person that you became meets the person that you could have become. And that was said by an anonymous person, and I don't know who actually really said it, but it's on the internet floating around, but it's true.